Welcome to episode 37 of Lizzie's Bedtime Stories. My guest is Barbara Valletto. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to you too.
Woohoo! So you're going to be reading an excerpt from one of your novels. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's a murder mystery. It's set in the winter in a town that's usually a tourist attraction in the summer. It's pretty desolate in the winter. And it's just about, trying to find this killer, but it's got a psychic supernatural element to it. It's got a lot of different genres blended in, so I worked really hard on it, so hopefully it'll appeal to people.
I'm sure it will. I like when there's a good blend of genres and just good storytelling in general, so I'm looking forward to your reading. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Chapter 1. Maya Hallworth hid in the shadows, waiting and watching. The winter night loomed frigid and ominous. A sliver of moon hovered like a sickle poised for attack in the blackened sky. She'd kept this silent vigil for 3 nights straight as she braved the elements, driven by an obsessive need for closeness to Danya Thorne. Sneaking into the back of the New York University amphitheater to hear Danya talk of paranormal phenomena hadn't quelled Maya's curiosity. The subject matter initially caught her attention. Danya's presence had held it. Maya never considered herself the obsessive type, but Danya exuded an energy, a life force that drew her like a magnet. For years, Maya had yearned for answers to as-of-yet unexplored secrets, and she sensed Danya could help her understand much that she didn't in her own life. 3 nights, the tiny colonial house, a block from the main campus, sat quiet and lightless. On this 4th night, Maya expected much the same, but she held out hope she might get a glimpse of Danya through a window, even if only a silhouette. Much to her surprise, as it neared the midnight hour, the front door opened and Danya came out of the quaint abode wearing a long black wool coat with its hood covering her shoulder-length salt and pepper hair. The click of her heels echoed through the night as she moved along the home's narrow cobblestone path to the street. With her heart beating loudly in her chest, Maya carefully stayed to the bushes lining the walk between them and waited for Danya to get far enough away so she could follow her unnoticed. Danya had gone a short distance before she turned and spoke in a voice hardly above a whisper. "Are you intentionally following me, or do you favor lurking in the shadows?" Embarrassed, the woman spotted her so soon. Maya emerged from behind a grouping of Leland cypress trees and waist-high shrubs. "I mean no harm, Professor," Maya said. "That isn't a concern for me. You are following me, though. Why?" Maya stammered. "I'm intrigued by you." "How so?" "I'm intrigued by your presence, your aura. What do you know of such mysticism?" "I don't claim to know much, but I sense you can teach me." Danya pondered her omission so long Maya feared she'd turn her away. Instead, Danya pushed back her hood and moved beneath the glow of a light post. "Come out of the shadows so I can see you." Obeying her request, Maya walked to within 3 feet of her. Danya's penetrating gaze made Maya squirm. She felt embarrassed by her frayed black peacoat and worn jeans. Up close, Maya found Danya younger and her attractive features more defined than what she'd observed from a distance. The premature gray hair had thrown herself off. Beneath the lamplight, she could truly appreciate Danya's seafoam green eyes, high cheekbones, and full supple mouth. "She's beautiful," Maya thought. "Ah, just as I suspected," Danya said. "You're the curious one who makes a habit of sitting in the back row during my teaching sessions. You noticed me? You're difficult to miss with your raven black hair and piercing blue eyes, but I don't recognize you as a student." "I'm not." "Do you have a name?" Danya asked with bemusement. Maya Hallworth." Danya extended her gloved hand and Maya took it. Maya felt a tingling in her fingers from the strong grip. The sensation traveled up her arm and radiated across her chest. Overall warmth suffused her body. Strange, she thought. "I sense you're a wayward soul, Maya Hallworth. Do you search for answers in your future through psychic realms? Is that why my class interests you?" "I don't know. Knowledge is power. Psychic knowledge can be dangerous power. Dealing with the unknown is not for the weak at heart." Challenged by her words, Maya jutted out her chin. "I don't fear insight. Even if what you learn leads you into dark passages, I've seen my share of darkness." I must say you're a quite interesting sort," Danya said. "I find myself drawn to you as well. I see potential." Danya again stared at her long and hard. Finally, Danya released the top 2 buttons on her coat. Maya noticed her slim fingers as she reached inside and pulled a black scarf from around her neck. She handed it to Maya. "You'll need this." Maya stared at her, confused. "You use the scarf as a blindfold. Take my hand, and I'll lead you to where others of my kind meet. Do not remove this blindfold unless I tell you to. If you do, your journey towards insight ends here. Do you understand?" Maya gave an eager nod. "Consider this your first lesson, Maya Holler." "Lesson?" "To trust me without any reservations." "I do." "We'll see. Trust is the first lesson. There will be many." Deprived of sight and with Danya as her guide, Maya moved alongside her through the night stillness. The path Danya selected took many turns and covered much ground. Neither spoke as they traveled with purposeful strides through quiet suburban streets. Maya felt lulled with the sound of Danya's breathing and her steady grip on her elbow. After many minutes, Danya's footsteps slowed. "We've arrived," she said. Maya heard 4 quick knocks resound against a hard surface, a door. An awkward silence followed. Instead of feeling anxious, Maya's body thrummed with excitement. "I'm dreaming," she thought. "This can't possibly be happening." For weeks, Danya's presence at the college had drawn Maya to her class like a moth to a flame. Now, blindfolded in the night, Maya found it hard to fathom that she was standing beside the same woman, a woman who trusted Maya enough to allow her entrance into this unknown place. A wave of warm air flowed across Maya's face as the door opened. "Professor," a female voice said. "I brought a charge," Danya said. "As you promised." Maya felt Danya move in front of her. "You'll need to follow behind me," Danya said. "In a few moments, we'll approach a stairwell. Remember what we spoke of." "I haven't forgotten." "What did the woman mean when she said, 'as you promised'?" "Shh," Danya said. "In time." Maya's body brushed against Danya's back as they descended the steep, narrow staircase. She flinched each time a step creaked, splintered, or groaned beneath her weight. "Relax," Danya said. "I won't let any harm come to you." Maya heard muffled voices coming from below. She sensed anticipation and wondered if it could be for her. The aroma of incense hung heavy in the air, but didn't totally mask a dank, mildewy smell. A basement, she thought. When they reached level ground, Danya gently pulled Maya beside her and slid an arm about her waist. Again, Maya felt a tingling sensation. She leaned in closer. Danya spoke. "I stand before the committee with my charge. She has sought me out and comes of her own free will." A throaty female voice, not the one Maya heard at the entrance, spoke. "Can she be trusted?" "I believe so." Another voice, quiet, unassuming, asked, "Will she allow us to stream?" "She is open to exploration," Danya answered. Still another voice, authoritative in tone, spoke. "As always, time is of the essence. We must begin." Once Danya seated Maya in a straight-backed chair, she said, "I'm right beside you, Maya. All that's required of you is to extend your arms forward with your palms turned upward. A few chosen committee members will place their hands in yours and come away with insight. It's called streaming. It's a form of telepathy." "Will they read my mind?" "Only to the extent you allow. It's important for you to remember that what's revealed isn't meant to frighten you, only to understand your plight." "I'm not afraid." "Good." Danya squeezed her shoulder. Seconds later, someone placed their hands on top of Maya's. "I see a home lacking love. 3 children, 2 boys, and 1 girl reside in this home, not all the same race and varied in age. A domineering figure stands close, a caretaker. He reels with a heavy hand and reeks of addiction. Another caretaker, a female, skulks in the background." Maya flinched, but when she felt Danya's hand strong and steady on her shoulder, she relaxed. Another set of hands rested in hers. Maya felt tremendous heat emanating from the source. "Wait, someone stands apart from these children. She's not a child, but a girl on the verge of womanhood. She's consumed with rage, but must remain subservient. She's biding her time. She is who stands before us, our charge." A lump lodged in Maya's throat. Our charge has made a promise to the girl child who cowers beside one of the boys. By fate's cruel hand, that promise will never be kept. Our charge is left bitter and disillusioned. A darkness festers inside her that craves for release. The woman could read her innermost thoughts. Maya's heartbeat raced and her body trembled. She felt a displacement of air. Someone knelt beside her and clapped her hands. Danya spoke. "You've heard from me out of need and yearning. I will be many auras to you. Together we can avenge a promise unfulfilled, but you must be willing to transcend normal bounds in order to do so." Maya didn't hesitate. "I'm willing." "You answer too quickly, Maya. Only time will tell just how willing you'll be." Once they'd gone enough of a distance from the secret place where the committee met, Danya undid Maya's blindfold. Maya blinked twice to adjust from the blindfold's pitch blackness to the night's muted grayness. Were you frightened by what the committee could see? Danya asked. No, I felt accepted by them. I've been lonely for so long, and I've had no one interested in me enough to care. Danya patted Maya's shoulder. Your search for inclusion is over. What did the one committee member mean by streaming? Streaming is probing a charge's subconscious and pinpointing events to torment them. Streaming is riding brain waves, what we call pulse points. That's how the committee could read my mind? By riding my pulse points? Yes, but only because you allowed them to merge with your inner psyche. I didn't realize my thoughts were so transparent, Maya said. It depends on the level of trust achieved. The important key to remember is you've arrived at your crossroads and have made a life-altering decision. A new life awaits, but other matters take precedence. Where are you staying? At a women's shelter until I can get on my feet. I work at the campus library, trying to save as much money as I can to afford a place of my own. You'll stay with me from now on, Danya said. We'll collect your belongings from the shelter in the morning. Maya clutched a worn satchel suspended from one shoulder and slung across her chest. No need. All that I own, I carry with me. Shelters have their fair share of theft when it comes to personal belongings. Danya praised her scant clothing and tiny bag. You're a survivor, Maya Hallworth. I haven't been given much of a choice. Many weaker in spirit couldn't have endured such hardship. You see, I'm able to stream deeper than the others. I suspect it's because you feel the closest to me. You've been a ward of the state your entire life, haven't you? Danya's perceptiveness didn't confound Maya. She experienced enough that even it defied reason. Yes. Danya continued to scrutinize her, transferred from one foster placement to the next until you reached the age of majority and were cast out into society to fend for yourself. Tears welled in Maya's eyes, and she tried to no avail to cling them back. I know about the man with the heavy hand. I know how he beat you and your foster brothers and sisters whenever he drank. I know how child welfare disregarded your allegations. I know how you prayed for the day when you'd age out of the system so you could start a new life. The girl child, Emily, Maya's voice hitched. You promised to return for her, to adopt her once you achieve personal and financial stability. Maya hung her head. It was too late. What happened? The bastard killed her. I saw it in a nightmare. He threw her down a flight of stairs during one of his drunken rampages. Police reports stated she fell. No one questioned foul play because of his status as a respected member of the community. No one knew him as the monster I lived with for 5 years. You want him to pay, don't you? Danya asked. In a voice laden with malice and contempt, Maya said, I want him to die. And so he shall, Danya said. Maya fixed Danya with an eager, hopeful expression. When? In due time. As soon as Danya opened her home's front door, a strong sense of familiarity overcame Maya. Although she never set foot in the house, she felt she belonged there, that she'd finally reached her sanctuary. Danya removed her coat and hung it on a burnished metal hook by the front door. The bathroom's upstairs to your right. We've got a set of loungewear laid out for you on a stool beside a vanity. Please feel free to bathe or shower. When you're finished, come down and I'll fix you a light fare to eat. You must be famished. Maya's stomach grumbled out a reply. I'm confused, Danya. How did you select clothing for me to wear before you left the house? You didn't know I was outside watching you. Danya reached out and stroked Maya's cheek. You are the curious one. You'll question much more once our lives become entwined. I promise to answer all your questions. For now, wash away the day's worries. Although late for some, the night shines for those who seek insight. After Maya luxuriated in a hot bath, she dressed in a pair of flannel pajamas and wool socks. She returned to the living room where she found Danya seated on an oversized cushion in front of a blazing fireplace. Maya couldn't be certain what drew her in more, the fire or the beautiful woman sipping a gold-toned liquid from a crystal glass. She found it difficult to gauge Danya's age. She guessed her to be at least 10 years older. It didn't matter. Maya found her ageless, timeless, an enigma. A tray of various cheeses and fresh sliced fruit sat on the coffee table. A glass containing the same colored liquid Danya poured for herself sat next on the tray. The magnitude of how far she'd come in the space of a few hours astounded Maya. This night, she wouldn't be shivering from lack of heat and bedding on a stale-smelling mattress on the floor of a women's shelter. This night, Maya believed she'd sleep the sleep of babes, innocent and unhindered, in proximity to the woman who'd saved her life. At the sound of Maya's approach, Danya turned toward her and patted the cushion beside her. Maya hungrily eyed the tray of food. Don't be shy, Maya. Eat to your fill. I'll pour you some whiskey. It'll help take the chill of winter out of your bones. I assume you're close enough to legal age to imbibe. I'm 20. Close enough. Once Maya sated her appetite, her curiosity returned. Danya, will you tell me now what the woman meant by as you promised? You're not the only one who's attuned to another's presence. I've anticipated your need to reach out to me for a long time. Are you a seer? Of sorts. And the committee, who are they? What are we, you mean? We are Psis. Maya raised her eyebrows in question. Psi stands for psychic, Danya said. We're a select group of women who strive to understand the basis of psychic phenomena. We're not witch doctors, nor do we practice voodoo or satanic rites of any kind. Psis delve into such unexplained and supernatural abilities as telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition. I'm not sure I know of such phenomena, which is why you become my charge. Charge? Charge means student. You're my student. I very much want to teach you how to make a difference in the world for others not strong enough to take care of themselves. Like Emily? Yes. Will I be able to stream others' pulse points? Maya asked. In time. Will I be able to stream into yours? Maya looked at her eagerly. Maybe, if I let you. I want to learn. Danya smiled. Tomorrow. How's that?
That was wonderful.
Is it?
Definitely. I'm very intrigued. I also never heard of pulse points before, but I like the concept.
You like the concept?
Yeah, completely.
Oh,
yeah, it works very well, and I have to say I do like stories where the older worldly paranormal character is leading an ingenue.
Yeah, this is kind of, the book progresses like 10 years later. This is just like the beginning of it. It's kind of give you an idea of who this Maya Hallworth is, and then it'll go into the actual story 10 years later.
Fantastic. So, listeners, I know that your curiosity has been duly piqued, and Barbara, thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.